That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Wicked for Good, the 9th film directed by Jon M. and of course a continuation of 2024's Wicked. Universal Pictures is releasing it theatrically November 21st, 2025.
What is Wicked for Good about? Now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba lives in exile in the Ozian forest, while Glinda resides at the palace in Emerald City, reveling in the perks of fame and popularity. As an angry mob rises against the Wicked Witch, she'll need to reunite with Glinda to transform herself and all of Oz for good. What is your pull quote?
The land of Oz is reduced to a chopped salad of metaphorical propaganda spliced with ponderous parallels to the original source material in Wicked for Good, a chaotic crash landing for the Wicked Witch of the West, who basically is led to a familiar let it go Queen Elsa moment.
Mine. Despite its spectacle, Wicked for Good stumbles. Its chaotic storytelling drains the enchantment that made the first film soar.
Yeah, this definitely feels like we're rushing to, well, not only end the film, but add all these references and characters to The Wizard of Oz.
I mentioned this in our review for Wicked that I had seen the Broadway musical years ago. Didn't remember a thing. There were some surprises in this one. But I think, and I guess it's no fault to the filmmaker that the source material, because I was reading that people feel like the second part of the musical falls flat.
Okay.
So if that's what they're working with in the film, then it is what it is.
We're in the flat part, the dusty bits.
I also read that this is intended to be like a two-part thing. It's not like it's a sequel. So the feeling of like, oh, the first one felt like it didn't have a proper ending, and then this one feels like you're just kind of thrown into something, is intentional. But even if I take all of that away, it doesn't, I mean, it still wasn't an enjoyable movie to me.
Right. I think that there are some positive elements, but not that I found the first one magical, but I certainly liked the lead performance by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande I came around on. And I think those two have moments of genuine chemistry as the friends, that because this is a friendship story, basically. That's still intact, but there's nothing else magical about it.
I gravitate more towards the character of Elphaba.
Because we like villains.
And she has some powerful moments in this one.
I don't know. Well, she has moments. I don't know how powerful they seem. Everything about her feels a bit reduced because we're bringing Glinda out into the fore because she's kind of balancing this story. Because to me, it's this chapter, her character is the one that's learning life lessons.
So after the events of the first film, Elphaba is a fugitive.
Yes.
So she's basically battling for truth and justice.
Mm-hmm. Although in ways that seem awkward and that maybe she's not using her brains and her powers correctly.
I agree.
Because when we first because the construction of the yellow brick road is kind of the opening of the film, and the unveiling of the road is a ceremony that's interrupted by Elphaba, who's writing in the sky, which is, of course, you know, a reference to Surrender Dorothy, but I think she writes, "Our wizard lies." And then y'all know the only damn power that Madame Morrible has is the weather. So what does she do? Change that into...
Oz dies. So, of course, now everyone's scared of Elphaba, who is now labeled the Wicked Witch of the West. Mm-hmm. So it's about propaganda and getting everyone to turn on Elphaba and highlight Glinda.
Propaganda and the rise of fascism, which I think was more strongly felt in the first chapter, which kind of made that have a weightiness to it as well.
So we know Glinda doesn't have powers, so she's constructed this bubble craft.
The wizard has for her. Mm-hmm.
And she's painted as like a savior.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Glinda is struggling with the fact that her friend is being labeled a villain when she knows that's not true. Mm-hmm. But she also Glinda seems drunk with the idea of...
Oh, she's preoccupied with...
this newfound attention.
L'amour. Well, she's also snagged Jonathan Bailey, Fiyero.
Well, and part of the propaganda is that she should be in this relationship with like the captain of the military, Fiyero.
Who became that captain so he could hunt the witch. And of course, his ulterior motive is the only way he can possibly look for her.
So Fiyero is in love with Elphaba. We know that from the first film. So when he's kind of forced to marry Glinda, he's not excited about it. Thankfully, though, their wedding is interrupted by Elphaba because Glinda had convinced her to work with the wizard. And so there is sort of this conference between the three of them, the wizard, Glinda, and Elphaba.
A conference, dance, song that rushes through.
It does, but ultimately the wizard and Glinda convince Elphaba to work with them. And of course, Glinda's intentions are honest and true, but to no surprise to anyone, the wizard is lying.
The wizard is lying, but initially Elphaba gives some ultimatums. Free the flying monkeys, let animals return to Oz. And he's like, great, check, check, check.
So she does agree to work with them, but she says, I don't quite trust you, so you need to do something to prove to me. How about you release the flying monkeys? Okay, do it. She does. They all leave. But the main flying monkey comes back and tells Elphaba, like, girl, look behind this door. She goes in there.
It's not even a door. It's just a big...
It's a big, like, cheese wheel covering a corridor that leads to this, like, room that's housing all of these captured animals.
And what the smell would be like in that room.
But Elphaba goes in there and, of course, is heartbroken and mad. And the wizard runs in there.
He's like, it's not what you think. But also, that's at the point where her hot-headedness can... That's where, let's continue the dialogue. Okay, I guess I have to ask you very specific questions about who else you have locked up here.
We need to get back to that. But she tells the wizard, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to take you down. And then immediately tells him run.
Like, where's that damn Grimory? You can't turn him into a tree stump?
You should have killed his ass right then and there.
He has no magic, so that makes no sense why she doesn't effectively neuter him.
So he runs, and all of a sudden Fiyero shows up and holds Elphaba at gunpoint. Like, let the wizard go. But we know that he's not going to hurt her. Instead, he actually locks up the wizard and tells Elphaba, you and I need to leave together. Unfortunately, Glinda's there. And so that's when she realizes my man is in love with my best friend. So she's devastated.
That should have been the title of the movie. Wicked. My man is in love with my best friend.
So Elphaba and Fiyero leave, and Glinda's mad. So she tells the wizard and Madame Morrible, oh, if you want to get Elphaba's ass back here,
you better snatch her trifle.
Use her sister. Man, I can't stand Nessa.
Girl.
Nessa ain't shit.
Marissa Bode, who is now, a lot of details feel glossed over. This is so choppy. But suddenly she's now the governor, the position her father.
Literally from one moment to the next, she's the governor. Okay.
And still in love with Bach, who is in turn in love with Glinda.
And she senses that.
Well, no, he says I want to leave. Like, I don't want to be, because he's her helpmate secretary. And she's like, fine, then leave my office immediately. And then she puts a travel ban on Munchkins.
This is one of the parts that I totally forgot about. In an attempt to bring Elphaba back and use Nessa as bait, Michelle Yeoh conjures the tornado that brings Dorothy to Oz. And the scene where Michelle Yeoh is voguing to get the tornado, I thought was terrible. I also thought if a person hasn't seen The Wizard of Oz, how confusing would this movie be? The way it's constructed, because all of a sudden there's this house and you see this woman with some people and a dog run from the crash landing site, and now Ness is dead.
This governor, aka the Wicked Witch of the East, which is she's never called in this.
She's never called that. Elphaba and Glinda have a confrontation, and Elphaba sort of sniffs out or thinks that she understands that Glinda's responsible for this. Then those two have a physical fight that I thought was ridiculous.
It's really awkward.
First of all, Ariana Grande looks like she weighs 80 pounds, and she's using her scepter to fight her homegirl, who is a literal witch, doing like flips around her.
And she says, are you crazy?
I mean, it ended up becoming kind of funny, but it was so ridiculous. The tone of this movie is every which way.
Jarring.
But the military shows up, Fiyero shows up, rescues Elphaba, but then sacrifices himself.
Rescues Elphaba by threatening to kill Glinda.
It's crazy.
Kinda.
We're going to get back to this, but Bach had already been turned into the Tin Man.
Yes.
The Cowardly Lion pops up for 1 second so that Coleman Domingo can say one line.
Yeah, he really only has one scene of dialogue.
I'm very confused about the Cowardly Lion. And then during this moment where Fiyero gets captured and sacrifices himself so Elphaba can escape, they're killing him. They're literally lynching him. They're putting him up on a cross. Like, Elphaba's back at her spot, reading a spell from the Grimoire to make Fiyero not die, which turns him into the Scarecrow.
A brainless organism.
And then, I'm so confused. But ultimately, Michelle Yeoh and the wizard decide that they're going to use Dorothy.
But it makes no... How the setup is, and then Glinda gifts Nessa Rose's silver shoes, because they were silver in the book, not like the red slippers, to Dorothy and directs her to go visit this scammer wizard so she can go home, and then collects these friends on the way that I don't think that the Tin Man or the Scarecrow at least would have any interest in seeing the wizard.
Right. I'm so confused why they would go with her after what we've seen.
Right.
When she finally does get to Oz, the Tin Man is holding like a rally. Mm-hmm. Like, he is mad. And he's mad for the Cowardly Lion too, and I'm confused about that.
I know, and then it's like, oh, this, and starts singing a song, because it's a musical, so there's lots of songs.
We don't see the Scarecrow.
But I'm like, oh, maybe they hired Coleman Domingo to sing a song. He doesn't even, the Cowardly Lion's too cowardly to sing.
I'm just confused with, these three companions of Dorothy don't seem like they would have followed her to Oz.
Well...
And when they get to Oz, we don't see the Scarecrow.
And Dorothy's never characterized, of course, which...
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that as well, because how would you ever live up to Judy Garland or Bruce
But Dorothy is told, we'll send you back to Oz if you kill the Wicked Witch of the West and bring back her broomstick. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm really confused how all of Oz's military couldn't kill the witch, but this little heifer from Kansas can do it? Mm-hmm. But then, I also didn't remember this, that Elphaba basically lets Dorothy kill her, and she and Glinda have a nice moment in a song.
They do, yes.
Where basically Elphaba explains, you need wicked to have good. So I'm going to be that, even though it's all lies. And hopefully you'll run with it and be good. Elphaba gives Glinda the Grimoire. And Elphaba puts out a bucket of water to let Dorothy kill her.
Yes.
So we see Glinda watching Elphaba be killed, but it's like her shadow. I was so disappointed that we don't see her or hear her saying, I'm melting.
Yeah.
But we do see her melt into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Glinda goes back to Oz. And then another gag I didn't remember. Glinda finds out that the wizard is Elphaba's dad. It's known that the wizard drinks from these green bottles. And then when she goes to the site where Elphaba died and her little witch hat is there, she's also given the green bottle that Elphaba kept with her. And that's how Glinda puts two and two together. And the wizard then recognizes, oh my gosh, I had my own daughter killed.
What have I done? And then is cast out of Oz.
Yeah, Glinda says, you're fired.
Although she technically has no power, so I'm not quite sure how his guilt.
So the wizard ends up on the hot air balloon with Dorothy. Mm-hmm. And then she clocks Michelle Yeoh and basically has the flying monkeys take her away.
Mm-hmm. Again, I don't know how suddenly with the wizard being dispatched that Madame Morrible's like, sure, I'll listen to this little girl I've been a bitch to for 4 hours.
And then Glinda, I guess, is there to lead Oz. The film ends with what we saw in the beginning of the first film, which is her talking to the Munchkins after the house fell on the witch. And then she explains basically that, yes, I was friends with Elphaba, but, my plan is to help all of you. And she brings the animals out. And then we also see that Elphaba and Fiyero can now be together.
Have journeyed into the wasteland.
Because Elphaba didn't die. She basically fell into a trap door. I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not either. And what Dorothy saw then, because that little girl must have been in on... She didn't see this grown-ass woman slip beneath the door?
Because we see Dorothy watching the witch melt, so how did she not see her? Yeah. However, Fiyero earlier had told Elphaba, you can go hang out at my parents' or my family's castle.
This ruined Frankenstein castle.
Yeah, that has a bunch of trap doors and corridors. But Elphaba and Fiyero end up going to the land outside of Oz to be together.
Mm-hmm, which is a great big desert.
The end.
Like Gwyneth walking off in Shakespeare in Love.
Okay, when you saw Fiyero as the Scarecrow, I thought he looked exactly like Ryan Reynolds. I want someone to comment below. I thought he looked exactly like Ryan Reynolds.
I thought it looked like the texture of his skin was like when Michael B. Jordan takes off his shirt in Black Panther.
Oh, damn.
And then there's this whole thing that I wasn't sure how I felt because we need to talk more about this scene. But when Jonathan Bailey is telling Cynthia Erivo, Fiyero is telling her, about how beautiful she is. And she says, you don't have to lie. And he's like, it's not lying. It's just a different perspective. Is that the line he uses? Because
yes.
She says the same thing to his dumbass when he's the scarecrow. And it's like, are you, what?
That's not a compliment.
I don't think so.
Don't tell me I'm beautiful and then say that you just have to look at it in a different perspective.
In the good light. You're beautiful in this light. Like, oh, okay.
Well, let's talk about that because, I think the magic of the story is diminished in the second half. So, that's just the story that it is. But I also think I'm a little exhausted of this.
Yes, I have
marketing.
Wicked fatigue, yes.
Yeah, like the marketing kills me. Also, I think this is a good example of sometimes actors need to have some mystique to them. Because this press tour, specifically Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande together, that's not my vibe. Cynthia Erivo seems like a weirdo to me. And then I think that clouds my impression of her.
Sure.
I like Jonathan Bailey as an actor, I suppose. I've seen him in interviews and he comes across like a sort of cheeky gay guy with a great personality. But I feel like I know too much of these people outside of the movie.
Yes, there's the reception theory. The baggage is clouding.
So the scene you're referring to is like their romantic scene where they have sex. And that was one of the more awkward things I've watched in a while.
It was bizarre. Another idea for this title should have been Wicked. Can you feel the tough love tonight?
Elphaba trying to be sexy when she tells Jonathan Fiyero, I'm feeling wicked. Like, I don't know. All of that did not work for me.
So wicked equals adult pleasure equals bad? Is that the message we're sending? Yes. Well, they don't have that kind of chemistry. To me, they feel like they should be communists fleeing McCarthyism. They seem like comrades. I don't know. As lovers? No.
We meet young Glinda in a flashback to explain how Glinda always wanted to be magical. And so we see her at young Glinda at a birthday party, and she's gifted like a toy wand, and all of her little friends are watching her, and she tries to do magic, and of course nothing happens. So the kids are kind of like, okay, whatever, bye. And Glinda's upset. And her mom tries to explain to her that people still love you. And I thought first of all, that little girl was obnoxious, young Glinda. And then the messaging of it also felt like, well, clearly it didn't work because your daughter grew up to be this.
Well, it did work in a bit because the mother said, basically, you got to have personality, girl. And that's what she does. But of course, that scene is the sledgehammer, which allows us to have the finale, some emotional depth, because Elphaba grants Glinda the ability to use the grimoire.
So I'm assuming in the continuation of the story, Glinda would learn how to use it?
I don't know. I'm all for, let's just adapt the old L. Frank Baum books that never got adapted, like Ozma of Oz. Let's do that.
Fiyero as the captain, he has a blue horse that I thought looked really cool. I have to say again, Nessa...
Don't you remember the horse with many changing colors in the original?
No.
Oh.
I just couldn't stand Nessa.
Well, she's just vile.
Oh, she's so gross. She's basically like trying to control Bach. And then her sister shows up.
By making him a caged bird.
I was a little confused because Elphaba says, you've never wanted my help. And Nessa says, well, I want it now. Like, you do all this for everyone else, but you haven't used that grimoire to help me. I'm assuming she wants to be able to walk. Mm-hmm. And then her sister doesn't cast a spell to help her walk. Was that weird to you? I feel like she didn't try hard enough to help her sister.
Based on how if that was my sister and she treated me that way, I would not be casting spells to help you. I'd be cursing you. But yeah, that seems odd. Again, kind of like how she didn't really handle the wizard correctly, since you have, this magic at your fingertips. But I was laughing at that scene because Nessa goes to the Grimmery and is trying to cast a spell on Bach to make him love her, and Elphaba's screaming, "You're not saying the words right."
Okay, I was very frustrated by that scene because Elphaba doesn't do enough to stop Nessa.
Correct.
She is in a wheelchair. Okay, all you gotta do is grab it and push her back. Like, why did you let that lady read from the Grimmery? Because that spell is what turns Bach into the Tin Man.
Well, Elphaba has to fix what she's doing.
Yeah, Elphaba's attempt to fix it turns him into the Tin Man.
Into not needing a heart. Yes.
But then Nessa says, well, this is because of Elphaba.
Dirty.
Like, no, it's not. You're the one who's... I don't know, because Buck immediately gets mad at Elphaba.
Of course.
That didn't make sense to me either. You were there when she...
The education system at Oz must be trash because everybody just immediately believes whatever nonsense they're told.
Oh, we get Bowen Yang and that other lady who I still questioning how old everyone's supposed to be.
Bronwyn James. Yeah, those two, that's an obnoxious part because we see them very briefly. They're trying to manage Glinda's public image.
Michelle Yeoh is a fabulous actor.
Oh,
and I do like her.
She looks great too.
But I don't know what it is in this movie. I don't know how she managed to be, to me, she was like screechy and flat at the same time.
She was more dynamic in the first one because they literally only give her one phrase to say over and over again. It's really frustrating that it's the Wicked Witch of the West. She wants to kill us all. Out of her 10 lines, 5 of them are those.
There could be a drinking game. Every time someone says, clock tick, give me a clock tick.
The phrase clock tick kept reminding me of the Eartha Kitt song, Where's My Man, where there's that line about, it's just a time stroke through Cartier.
Oh, God. I know people won't agree, but this just didn't feel magical to me. I was slightly confused and bored.
Yeah, it's not transportive. Like, the original 1939 film still slaps. I mean, you can get lost in that tangible world. I think this CGI goop that I think plagues a lot of specifically I felt that a lot more than in the first part. I don't know, it's just kind of off-putting and laborious to sit through.
What would you give Wicked for good?
2.5.
I would give it 2.5 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.